Good morning, children.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
We have completed the chapter photosynthesis, and now we are moving on to another very, very important chapter. And this chapter is about a process which is very essential both in plants and animals. In all living things, this process is inevitable. So, without this process, we cannot survive. It is this process with the help of which energy is released and we carry out the different functions. Can you tell me about which process I'm talking about? The process which releases energy. Which process is responsible for releasing energy? Without this process, you cannot survive. You will die. We cannot live. Whether it is plants or animals, for all living things, it is applicable. Which process in your body releases energy, children?
Respiration.
Respiration. You know, you take in food and this food undergoes digestion. And you know that we are taking food to release energy, but just by digesting the food and the nutrients being absorbed into the bloodstream, you will not get energy. These nutrients absorbed by the bloodstream should reach each and every cell in your body, and there inside the cell, this digested nutrients or these food should get oxidized. It should combine with oxygen, only then energy will be released. So we are going to learn about the process of respiration in detail, and the chapter is about respiration taking place in plants. Very important chapter. Essay questions can be asked. Just like photosynthesis, this is also very important. Respiration in plants. Cellular respiration. So we call it a cellular respiration because this process is taking place within the cells. It takes place within the cells. So you can define it as the mechanism of breaking down of food materials within the cells to release energy. The mechanism or the process by which food materials are broken down. How this breaking down takes place? When they combine with oxygen or oxidation takes place. That is how the food materials are broken down. The mechanism of breakdown of food materials within the cell to release energy and using this energy to synthesize ATP molecules, that is known as cellular respiration. I'll repeat again: the breaking down of food materials within the cell. Why it is broken down? To release energy. And what is this energy used for? To synthesize ATP molecules. It's a process by which, or the mechanism by which, food materials are broken down within the cell to release energy, and utilizing this energy or trapping this energy to synthesize ATP molecules. And we have completed photosynthesis, and you know that photosynthesis takes place within the chloroplast, whereas the site of cellular respiration or respiration are sites are cytoplasm and mitochondria in case of eukaryotes. In eukaryotic organism, it begins in the cytoplasm and it will be continued in the mitochondria. Cytoplasm and mitochondria are the sites where respiration takes place, or else the breaking down of complex molecules to release energy. That is respiration. In respiration, the complex molecules are broken down to release energy. So it is taking place in the cytoplasm and the mitochondria in case of eukaryotes. Okay. Photosynthesis is taking place in chloroplast, and the breaking down of complex molecules to yield energy or respiration is taking place in the cytoplasm and in the mitochondria. And you can even define respiration as the breaking of carbon-carbon bonds of complex compounds through oxidation. We learned that the complex molecules are broken down. Food materials are broken down. So, you know, it's the glucose molecules, they get broken down. And how they break down? By the breaking up of the carbon bonds in them. And how this breaking down takes place? When it combines with oxygen, or by the oxidation. Food materials get oxidized. They combine with oxygen to release energy, leading to the release of considerable amount of energy. The breaking of carbon bonds of complex compounds through oxidation within the cells, leading to the release of energy, is known as respiration. Once again, the breaking of carbon bonds in complex compounds through oxidation with the release of considerable amount of energy is known as respiration. In lower classes, you have learned a simple definition, that is taking in of oxygen, utilizing it for energy release, and giving out carbon dioxide. So all these definitions are correct. In all these definitions, the main concept is the same. Oxygen is used to break down the complex food molecules and release energy. As a byproduct, carbon dioxide is also released. Oxygen is used up, energy is released, and even carbon dioxide is produced as a byproduct. Once again, I'll repeat the points. Cellular respiration is a mechanism of breaking down of food materials within the cells to release energy and utilizing this energy for synthesizing ATP molecules. Photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast, whereas respiration is taking place in the cytoplasm and mitochondria in the case of eukaryotes. I'm sure that you know the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Am I right? Children, you know the difference between...
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. The breaking of carbon bonds of complex compounds through oxidation within the cells, leading to the release of considerable amount of energy, is known as respiration. Now the compounds which are oxidized, I told you food materials will be oxidized to release energy. So those food materials which get oxidized to release energy, you can call it as a respiratory substrates. So these substrates will combine with oxygen to release energy. So what are respiratory substrates? The compounds which are oxidized during respiration. Mainly carbohydrates are the respiratory substrates. Glucose gets broken down to release energy. But at the same time, certain other molecules like proteins, fats, organic acids also can be used as respiratory substrates under certain conditions. But generally, carbohydrates are the respiratory substrates which will combine with oxygen to release energy. But depending upon the circumstances, under some special conditions, other molecules like proteins, fats, organic acids can also act as respiratory substrates. And you know, as a result of respiration, energy will be released. An excess amount of energy will be stored as ATP molecules, and these are known as energy currencies. ATP molecule is known as the energy currency. Why do you call as the energy currency? You know that currency, the normal currency, whenever you will have currency or you earn currency by doing job or by working somewhere, you earn currency. And as and when we need something, or when we need to satisfy your needs, we need to buy something, you spend this currency and get the required items. Similarly, ATP is known as the energy currency. The ATP molecules which are synthesized will break down depending upon the need of a body. Whenever your body requires energy, this energy currency will break down, release energy, and will meet our energy requirements. And hence we call ATP as the energy currency, because it satisfies all our energy needs. Whenever needed, these ATP molecules will break down and release energy. Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, next is about the breathing taking place in plants. Why plants do not have any specialized respiratory organs? Definitely, animals have specialized respiratory organs, but in plants, no special respiratory organs. There are different reasons why they don't have specialized respiratory organs. So, let us see what are the reasons why they don't need a specialized respiratory organ. Each plant part, there are different parts for a plant: stem, root, leaves. So all these parts, they take care of its own gas exchange needs. So they, each part can respire on its own. Whether it is stem, leaves, roots, they can breathe on its own. So when each part can take care of its own gas requirements, then there is no need for any transport. So each part of the plant can take care of its requirements of gases, or they can take care of gas exchange. So there is no need for transportation from one part to the other. Then they don't have any great demands for gas exchange. So they don't have too much requirement for the gas exchange. And if you check the rate of gas exchange also, you will find that the requirement or the rates are lower than that of the animals. One reason, see, why we need more exchange. In case of animals, we need a better exchange of gases because oxygen is needed for the release of energy. Our energy requirements are more when compared to plants. Plants are fixed at one place. There are different reasons why the energy requirements in plants are less. One reason is they are fixed at one place. They don't have to move around like animals. So the energy requirement is less. Second point, in animals, majority of the cells are living. But in plants, majority of the cells are dead. As you know, the maintenance required or the energy spent to maintain living cells are more than that of dead cells. So due to these reasons, the requirement of energy in plants is less. When the energy requirement is less, they don't have to go on for a better exchange of gases. Actually, this gas exchange will enable oxygen to enter and utilize it for releasing energy. But in plants, their energy requirements are less, and hence the rate at which the exchange of gases takes place is also less. And only during photosynthesis large volumes of gases will get exchanged. And it is during photosynthesis that so much of gaseous exchange is taking place. Carbon dioxide is taken in, oxygen is released, and when cells are carrying out photosynthesis, or when cells photosynthesize, oxygen availability won't be a problem, because as a result of photosynthesis they'll be releasing oxygen, and they will retain whatever is needed by them to carry out respiration, and remaining only they'll release outside. So during the time when it is photosynthesizing, availability of oxygen for breathing won't be a problem, because the plant as such is producing plenty of oxygen by means of photosynthesis, and it will retain whatever is required by the plant cells, and remaining will be released into the atmosphere. A few more points. The gases diffuse even in large bulky plants is not great. So the distances covered, or distances these gases need to diffuse, is very less, or it is not that great even in tall trees, even in very big plants. The diffusion rate, or the distance covered by the means of diffusion of gases, is not large even in the case of bigger plants, taller plants. And in plant cell, or in plants, each living cell, every living cell in a plant is located close to the surface of the plant. Okay, in a plant, each and every cell is living cell. The living cell in a plant, I told you already, majority of the cells are dead, but the living cells are located close to the surface of the plant. So if you take the case of trees having very large woody stem, in that case also the living cells will be organized into thin layers just beneath the bark, just close to the bark. And those cells which are deep inside are dead. And those cells are just meant for providing mechanical support. So dead cells, they need not respire. Okay. So in plants, all the living cells are located close to the surface of the cell. Sorry, close to the surface of the plant. And if you take the case of large woody stems, there also the living cells are arranged in a thin layer and arranged close to the surface or just beneath the bark. And those cells which are present deep inside, they are dead cells. They are meant for providing mechanical support and they need not respire. They are not in need of gases. And stems are provided with openings. These cells present in the stem, they are provided with certain openings which help in the exchange of gases. You call them as lenticels. So lenticels are small openings similar to that of stomata present in leaves. These are present on the stem and they help in the exchange of gases. So lenticels are small pores present on the stems which helps in the exchange of gases. Most of the cells have at least a part of their surface in contact with the air. So the arrangement of cells in a plant is such that most of the cells are in contact with air. And how that happens? There is a loose package. You have learned about parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, tissues. So parenchyma cells, they are loosely packed, whether it is leaves, stems and roots, they are very loosely packed. So when they are loosely packed, there will be so much of intercellular space. And these intercellular spaces will be filled with air. So due to that reason, because of these loosely packed parenchyma cells, all the cells in a plant will be, majority of the cells in a plant will be in contact with, at least a part of their surface will be in contact with the air. So due to all these reasons, plants do not need a specialized or a special respiratory organs. They don't want any special respiratory organs for gaseous exchange. We discussed different points. So once again, we will see. Before that, we started with respiration. Quickly, we will revise that. Respiration is the breaking down of carbon-carbon bonds present in complex compounds through oxidation within the cells, leading to the release of considerable amount of energy. It takes place in cytoplasm and mitochondria. And cellular respiration is a breaking down of food materials taking place within the cells to release energy and utilizing this energy for synthesizing ATP molecules. And those substances, those molecules which are oxidized during respiration, you call them as respiratory substrates. Normally, carbohydrates are the respiratory substrates, but in certain special cases, proteins, fats, and nucleic acids can also get oxidized to release energy. The energy release will be stored in the form of ATP molecules. It's known as the energy currency, and it will be broken down whenever energy is required. And coming to the points why plants do not need specialized respiratory organs. Each plant part can take care of its own gas exchange needs. So there is no need of any specialized transport mechanism. Then their energy requirements are less. So when compared to animals, so as a result, the rate at which the exchange of gases takes place, the respiratory rates are lower than that of animals. And during photosynthesis, it is during photosynthesis that large volumes of gases get exchanged. And when photosynthesis takes place, large amounts of oxygen is released into the cells. And then at that time, oxygen for breathing won't be a problem, because already whatever oxygen, the amount of oxygen essential for the plants will be retained within the cells, and remaining only will be released outside. then the distance that the gases diffuse is less even in the case of tall trees. And another point is that each living cell in a plant is in contact with the surface of the plants, is close, living cell. Each living cell in a plant is placed close to the surface of the plant. And in case of woody stems, in bulky trees, the woody stems, and there the dead cells will be present inside, will be deeply present, which will carry out the function. They are dead cells and they'll be concerned with providing mechanical support. But the living cells will be arranged as a thin layer just beneath the bark to facilitate the exchange of gases. And not only that, they are provided with certain special openings. You call it as lenticels, which will help in the exchange of gases. And most of the cells are coming in contact, or they, or at least a part of majority of the cells will be in contact with the air. So this happens because the parenchyma tissues present inside the plant, these are loosely arranged, which will facilitate more intercellular spaces which will be filled with air. So because of the loosely packed parenchyma cells in different parts of the plants, there will be an interconnected network of air spaces. So this will facilitate majority of the cells to have at least a part of their surface to be in contact with the air. So these are some of the reasons why plants do not need any specialized respiratory organs. Any doubt? Children,
No.
doubt?
No.
Okay. Complete combustion of glucose, complete burning, complete breaking down of glucose will yield energy, most of which will be given out as heat. So when glucose is oxidized, when glucose is carrying out combustion, or when it is oxidized, energy will be released, and most of the energy will be coming out as heat, most of which is given out as heat energy. C6H12O6, that is glucose, combines with oxygen and releases carbon dioxide, water, and energy. This is the equation for respiration. Carbohydrate, that is glucose, combines with oxygen, that is oxidation. Oxidation, this process is known as oxidation of glucose, or burning or combustion of glucose molecule, releasing carbon dioxide, water, and energy. And this energy can be released as, it will be given out as heat also. And at the same time, the energy is utilized to synthesize other molecules. So most of the energy will be given out as heat. At the same time, it is also utilized to synthesize other molecules. When glucose catabolism takes place, catabolism and anabolism, hope you are remembering what we learned in chapter 1. Catabolism and anabolism, together we call it as metabolism. Anabolism, building up reactions, catabolism, breaking down reaction. So when glucose undergoes catabolic reaction, or when glucose is broken down, not all the liberated energy, so we said already most of the energy goes out as heat, but not the entire energy going out as heat. Instead, some of the energy is utilized to synthesize ATP molecules. So for that, glucose will be oxidized, not in a single step. Even though we have given it as a single step over here, it is not taking place in a single step. Small steps, glucose get oxidized step by step, and some of the steps are large enough, and those steps will be coupled with ATP synthesis. So the entire energy released as a result of respiration is not going out as heat. A major share will be released as heat energy, but some of the energy is utilized for synthesizing ATP molecules. So glucose oxidation takes place step by step. It takes place step by step process, and some of the steps are large enough. It will be coupled with ATP synthesis. During respiration, as you can see in the equation, oxygen is utilized, and oxygen upon utilizing oxygen, carbon dioxide, water and energy are released. Very clear from this equation. Glucose is utilized, carbon dioxide, water and energy are released. Is it clear? When glucose is completely burnt, completely oxidized, it releases energy, and most of the energy goes out as heat, but some of the energy will be utilized for synthesizing ATP molecules, and the glucose oxidation takes place step by step. Gradually, in a step by small steps it is proceeded, and some of the steps are large enough. It will be coupled with the synthesis of ATP, and these ATP molecules synthesized will be stored, and as and when there is requirement, it will be broken down to release energy. Before we proceed to the different steps involved in the oxidation of glucose, you have to learn in detail about the breaking down of glucose taking place to release energy. So before we are proceeding with the steps involved in the oxidation of glucose molecule, I want to know how far you have understood. So what is meant by respiration? Tell me what is meant by respiration. Who will tell me? Punya, what is respiration? How do you define?
The mechanism of breaking food particles within
Can you
the
speak
cell
a
to
little louder?
the mechanism of breaking food materials within the cell to release energy and trapping this energy for synthesizing ATP.
Now without looking. I understood that you're good at reading, but you say without looking now.
The mechanism of breaking down food materials within the cell and utilizing the energy for synthesizing ATP.
That is cellular respiration. One more definition I had given. Anna, tell me the other definition I had given.
The breaking down of carbon-carbon bonds with
Text kept somewhere over there. You're looking somewhere and the breaking down of carbon bonds of
complex compounds through oxidation within the cells for considerable leading to release of considerable amount of energy.
Good. And where does respiration take place? Or which are the sites of respiration? Sania?
In eukaryotic organism, it's in cytoplasm and in mitochondria.
Mitochondria. Okay. Nia, tell me, what are respiratory substrates? What do you mean by respiratory substrates? Okay, Nia, I got your message. Nia, tell me, what do you mean by respiratory substrates?
The compound that are oxidized during respiration.
To release energy. Okay. Which is the most commonly used respiratory substrate? Malavika?
Carbohydrates.
Carbohydrate. And we learned that plants are not having any special system for transportation of gases. Why they don't need any specialized system for gaseous transport? 1 point, Rijas. Any 1 point?
Plants do not have great demands of gas exchange compared to animals.
Okay. Evelyn, another point?
Each plant part take care of the respiration.
Each plant part can take care of its own respiratory needs, or they will take care of gas exchange on its own. Then, Nevin, another point?
In plants, most of them are dead cells. and animals, most of the living cells.
That point already Rijas said, no? Their requirements are less.
Plants don't move as much as animals.
That also is coming under the same point. Their requirements are less due to all these reasons. So that point has covered all these. What else? What else, Nevin? Think by the time Michael will say. Michael is digging in the textbook. Yes, Michael? Michael's video is off? No, it's paused, I think. Donna? Donna? When I ask question, that particular person's video is getting stuck. Gayatri?
Most of the plant cells come in contact with the air so that they don't want any particular respiratory organ.
Stems, do they have any special structures?
No, but they're mostly, they have the dead cells inside, so they work as a mechanical support, and the living cells are outside. Like they have
Need the bark, and they have certain openings. What do you call them?
lenticels.
Louder.
Lenticels.
Lenticels. Then next point, Nandana.
Most of the gas exchange takes place only during photosynthesis, so the oxygen needed is already released. Only some of the oxygen needed for the plants to respire are kept inside, and the rest is released out.
Okay. Then one more point. Michael? Okay. Earlier when I asked you the question, your video was paused. Now don't pause it again. Sir.
I know. I don't. All the points I know have been said already.
Yes.
Know that
Once again, all the points are not.
I don't know the last point, man. The other points have been said already.
Why you don't know all the points? Where have you noted down? Show me the notebook in which you're taking down the points. Lift it and show me. Yes. How many points you've taken down? Huh?
4.
Why? Why? What about the other points? Why you didn't tell me to repeat it if you wanted to hear it again? Huh? Any reason? I'll ask you to summarize minimum 4 points. Okay. I'll come to you. Who is going to tell me the last point? Naureen? Naureen?
Ma'am, I was not there.
Okay. I could hear from I could understand from your voice. Anthony? The last point.
Complete combustion of glucose yields energy, most of which is given out as heat.
You heard my question, you're answering, no? What was my question? Why plants do not need